Hello everyone, it's Joshua here and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be doing Premier League predictions for game week 36. Now I do want to apologise because I actually missed game week 35, my predictions. I just completely forgot it was happening, to be fair, and it was too late when I realised I missed them. But if I was going to predict it, I would have got them all wrong probably anyway, like always. But yeah, this week I'm back on the grind after getting 0 right in game week 34, so let's see if I can get more this time. And to start us off, it's a Friday night game, I believe, and it's Leicester versus Brentford. Obviously, Leicester down there, down in the dumps a little bit, if you don't mind me saying, Leicester fans. It's not great at the minute. Obviously, they played all right against Arsenal for a good, 60 minutes until 2 goals from Arsenal killed that game, and it's another loss for them. And Brentford, a bit of a hit and miss side. They're doing well. Obviously, they're a lot better at home than they are away, and they're away in this game at Leicester. So it might be a bit of a challenge for them, and I think it's going to be one of them games. It could go either way, and I'm going to say it's a 1-1 draw actually. Now, I think if it does go a team's way, it's going to go Brentford's way, but I'm just going to go with a draw for this one. I just feel like, Brentford are away from home, and Leicester, they could be alright in this game. So yeah, I think a draw's not a bad result for Leicester. I'm going to go 1-1. Next up, we've got quite a tasty one. It's Everton versus Manchester United. Obviously, we all know about Man U, how terrible they are at the minute. It's a joke. They're better away from home than at Old Trafford at the minute, though. I feel like there's like a confidence issue when they're at home almost, because they're expected to play a certain way. They're expected to dominate teams, and they're just not able to do that, and it just makes everything worse. But yeah, when they're away from home, they're a little bit better, but again, I feel like Everton are on fire at the minute. It's like 4 wins from 5, I think, under David Moyes or something crazy like that. He's got them flying, and obviously it's like a new manager bounce, and they probably will hit a point where the results stop coming like as quickly as they are doing, because they're on fire at the minute. But I am going to go with the Everton 3-2 win over Man U, which I hope it's a good game, and if it is that, it's going to be a great game, isn't it? I just feel like it'll be quite an end-to-end game. Everton they're so free at the minute in the way they play. I feel like they were so structured under Dyche, and like they were good defensively, but they just couldn't score enough. But I feel like they're flowing now. Goals are going in. Against Liverpool last week, that was a crazy game. It's one of the games of the season with that last-minute winner. They just don't equaliser. Sorry, they just don't give up, and I just feel like Man U, they've not got that same passion and heart in the team as the ones did, and Everton are just going to be able to take advantage of that. So I'm going to go 3-2 Everton. Next up, we travel to the sunny coast of Bournemouth, who face Wolves. Bournemouth, obviously, they're flying in the league at the minute. They're 5th place, I believe, and they're knocking on the door of that Champions League spot, and I'm really hoping they get it. It'd be amazing to see, they're such a small club. They're not like my favourite club ever, I can't lie. I'm not particularly keen on them, but whenever I see an underdog doing well, it's like, you've got to root for them, haven't you? And, especially if that 5th place in the league this season's up for grabs for Champions League, then I think they've got a real shot. Obviously, Wolves, they've not been good at all this season. They're lingering about them relegation places, and luckily for them at the minute, the 3 teams below them are worse than them. But I do think Ipswich do have a chance of staying up out of anyone from that bottom 3, just because I think they, play with a bit more heart and a bit more desire. And Wolves just slow. Obviously, they've got Kuhn, who's an amazing player, but you can't rely on one player too much, and he might be able to drag them over the line, but I don't think he will for this game anyway, and I have gone with a 3-1 Bournemouth win. I don't think it's going to be too difficult for Bournemouth, to be honest. I think they're a great side, they're a great passing side, and they're going to play some good football at home against Wolves, who I just don't think are going to be able to cope with it. They're going to play around them, and yeah, I just don't think there's much more to say on this one. 3-1 to Bournemouth. Now, next up, we are gunning over to the Gunners, and are they going to win? That's a clever joke. Who are against West Ham here. And obviously, Arsenal have that struggle for a striker. They have been doing all season, but then in the last game, they played that midfielder up front, and he scored. I forgot his name. But yeah, he scored 2 anyway, and I'm hoping Arteta plays him again, because I know there's been a lot of talk whether he will or won't, but I just think he might as well go for it. In a game like West Ham, especially, it's a bit of room for experimenting, because it's a game they should be winning. It's not going to be an easy game, don't get me wrong, but West Ham haven't been great, and under Graham Potter, they've improved somewhat, but he's not got going yet, really, for them. And I think it's going to be a tough game against second in the league. It's always going to be, isn't it? And I just think it's going to be a 2-0 Arsenal win. I think it'll be quite similar to the one against Leicester, but maybe a little bit more comfortable, because not that Arsenal were under threat in that game at all, really, but just, it's going to be a bit more certain of the result. And I think, they're going to be creating lots of chances, and they're going to put a few away, and they're going to win 2-0. Next up, we travel to Fulham. I don't know why I said it like that, who play Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, after the bad start in the season, they're playing a lot better now. Obviously, they lost last time out, but it doesn't define them all, and they've been having a good start, and they've been having a good run of form. Fulham, on the other hand, have been doing really well as well. They've been smashing it. Obviously, they won against Nottingham Forest in the last game, which is a great result. It's obviously Forest, up there in the league, challenging for Europe, and I think especially Champions League's a little bit far out maybe for Fulham, but you never know. And I do think they'll win here, Fulham, and I'm going to go 2-1. I don't think it's anything against Crystal Palace. I think Crystal Palace will give it a good go, as they always seem to do. But I just think Fulham have just got that bit of class, that bit of, va-va-boom, as they say, and I just think it'll get them over the line. So 2-1 to Fulham. Then we have got Ipswich versus Tottenham. Ipswich are a weird one this season. I feel like they have spells of being quite a positive looking team, quite a good looking team who can attack sides. And then they've had a few games where they've just not looked it. But then against Aston Villa, they did really well. And the keeper, obviously, on his debut, made some cracking saves. And it's a really good performance from him. And, if he's got that confidence, he can carry it through to this game against Tottenham, who are obviously struggling as well. Tottenham as well, obviously, were the first win Ipswich got this season. So I think that might play in the heads a little bit too. And they think, we can do this because we've done it before, which is massive for, like, an underdog having that mentality where they know they can win. A team like this, and Tottenham are all over the place. They did get the better of Man U, but it wasn't a great game against them, and it could have gone either way. But I do think it's going to be a 2-2 draw here. It's going to be a bit of a crazy one, but I think Ipswich are going to be able to grind out another result, which is massive for them. They're at home, they have a good atmosphere at home, and Tottenham, injuries, we've all heard it all before. All the rest of it, it's just going to be a bit too much for them to get that result, and I think Ipswich will tire them out and just get a point, so 2-2. Now, moving on to Southampton, who are bottom of the league. They're playing Brighton, who are a bit of a weird side again. They're like the team no one's been able to work out this season because you don't know what they're going to do. They're very inconsistent. They're a bit all over the place, and they did have a good start to the season, but since then they've dropped off a little bit, and they're just like there or thereabouts at mid-table, upper mid-table sort of zone. But I do think they will have enough for Southampton. They're just poor. They're so poor. They've just looked rubbish. They've not looked like they're going to get anything from any games, really. They did against Ipswich, obviously, which is a bad result for Ipswich. But obviously the keeper did play a big part in that, and that's why he's been dropped for the new keeper. But I do think Southampton are going to miss out on the 3 points, and it's going to be 2-1 to Brighton. Quite a close game maybe, but I just think Brighton are going to have too much for them, and Southampton, they're a slow, sluggish team. They try and play out from the back or whatever a bit too much, and it's just not going to go well for them today. Not today, when the game is. It's not playing today because that'd be crazy. But yeah, 2-1 Brighton. Next up, we travel to Birmingham, where we're going to walk into Villa Park and watch them play Chelsea. This is quite a big game, and I feel like it happens about 10 times a season. I feel like I'm always predicting if Aston Villa will beat Chelsea or not. Like, I don't know if anyone else feels the same way. It's just one of them that happens every other weekend. Villa's league form has been quite inconsistent. They've had some good results against big teams, and then at the same time they've been poor against the likes like Wolves, Ipswich. Obviously, they dropped points again. So they're a bit of a mixed bag because the focus is on the Champions League, and you can't blame them. They're not quite hitting the limits or whatever they did last season in the league, just because they've got more games, less squad depth. But I think Rashford's going to do really well for them. He's an exciting sign, and he's been looking good so far. Chelsea again, a bit of a mixed bag. They've had a few bad results recently. Really, been very poor indeed. Against Brighton especially. They're just a bit all over the place, and they've just not hit them standards they hit at the start of the season. And everyone thought, they could challenge for the league. I think Palmer's been poor recently as well. And, when he's on form, he's a great player. But having said all this, I think Aston Villa are going to win 2-1. I think Chelsea, they'll give it an alright go. They always do. It's one of them. Like, big teams, when they play big teams, they're always going to give it a go, aren't they? They're going to look good. But I just think Aston Villa are going to have a bit too much for them. And they're going to win 2-1. So that's a 2-1 win to Aston Villa. Now we have a long drive up the country to Newcastle, high up in the heavens, where we watch them take on Nottingham Forest, and this is probably one of the best fixtures of the week for me. It's just going to be such a close game because they're both teams who are like not really punching above the weight in terms of Newcastle because they've got all the money obviously, but especially Nottingham Forest, it's going to be interesting to see how they play because Newcastle are obviously quite aggressive. Nottingham Forest can be as well, so it's going to be interesting to see which side prevails in this one. Because I think Newcastle, when they play poorly, they can be very poor. As seen against Man City, they just didn't get going, and that can happen sometimes. But obviously, they've got a big threat in Isaac, and then Nottingham Forest as well. They've got a big threat in Chris Wood, who's been amazing this season. And I think it's going to be a crazy game. I feel like it's going to match Forest's season, really. They're going to just keep going. It's going to be end-to-end like a basketball game, and it's going to be 3-3. I think there's going to be goals scored. I think there's going to be, everything. There's going to be fouls. There's going to be tackles, as you see. There's going to be everything. It's going to be a great game, I think. I'm going to go 3-3. Finally, to wrap us off, we've got Man City versus Liverpool. And Man City, on the day filming this yesterday, they got knocked out of the Champions League, and they just gave up, didn't they? It was a terrible performance, really, from them. They never got going in that. It was horrific, and the early goal didn't help, and Mbappe had a great game, you've got to say. And Liverpool, they've maybe not been at the best this month, I think. It's fair to say they've struggled to get wins, but they're picking up points still, and that's the most important thing. And Man City have been poor in the league still. I know they won against Newcastle, which is a good game, but confidence again ain't going to be great after the Champions League, it's got to be said. And I do think Liverpool are going to win, and I think it's going to be a big win. It's going to be 4-1 to Liverpool. It's going to be 4-1 to Liverpool, which, it's what they need after a couple of draws, I think. 2 draws in a row in the league, is it, against Everton and obviously Aston Villa. But yeah, I think that is going to be the score, 4-1. I could be wrong. It's one of them. It's unpredictable. Man City are quite unpredictable this season because they have bad games and then they have good games. But I think Liverpool's class will top it because they're going to go for it, Man City against Liverpool, and they could be punished for it. But anyways, that does wrap up this video. I do hope you enjoy even. And I hope I got a couple of these predictions right because I've let everyone down so far with my 2 videos I've done in the FA Cup and Premier League. But I've got a good feeling about these. I think some of them I could be there or thereabouts. I feel like I always try to avoid doing 2-1s, but I've got a few in there because I feel like everyone predicts 2-1 for every game because it's just the easiest score to choose, isn't it? But yeah, anyways, if you did enjoy, please consider liking and subscribing. I don't know what thing to do for that. And there'll be more videos in the future. So thank you so much and goodbye.